Admiral Ryan Blackwood stood at the viewport of Orbital Defense Station Theta, watching Earth's gleaming surface below. 20 years of service in the United Earth Defense Force hadn't prepared her for this moment. First contact. Real, genuine alien contact. Admiral, Captain Marcus Torres called from his station, the unknown vessel has cleared the Kuiper Belt. Their trajectory suggests they'll reach lunar orbit in approximately 6 hours. Ryan nodded, keeping her expression neutral despite the flutter of excitement and apprehension in her chest. The massive ship they detected 3 days ago had made no attempt at communication, maintaining a steady course toward Earth. The vessel dwarfed anything humanity had built, stretching nearly 3 kilometers from bow to stern. "Any response to our hails?" she asked, though she already knew the answer. "Negative, ma'am. They're receiving but not acknowledging." The silence was deliberate, Ryan was certain of it. In the centuries since humanity had unified under the threat of climate collapse, they'd built an impressive defensive network around Earth and its colonies. Yet this visitor acted as if those defenses didn't exist. Status of the planetary shield grid? 100% operational, Admiral. All stations report ready. The planetary shield grid had been humanity's greatest achievement, a network of orbital platforms capable of generating an energy barrier around the entire planet. They'd built it to protect against asteroid impacts, solar flares, and yes, the possibility of hostile aliens. Many had called it paranoid. Now it seemed prescient. New contact. Lieutenant Patel's voice cut through the command center. Multiple signatures emerging from the vessel. "Count is 50, no, 100, they're still coming, ma'am." The holographic display at the center of the command deck illuminated with red dots, each representing a smaller craft launching from the alien vessel. They moved with precise coordination, forming attack patterns that confirmed Ryan's worst fears. "This isn't first contact," she said grimly. "This is an invasion force." As if responding to her words, the alien vessels accelerated toward Earth. A transmission finally came through, broadcasting on all frequencies in perfectly translated English, a fact that sent chills down Ryan's spine. They'd been studying humanity for some time. "Primitives of Earth," a harsh, guttural voice announced. "I am High Commander Zextal of the Kraxan Empire. Your world now belongs to us. Your technology is primitive, your defenses inadequate. Surrender now, and we will make your enslavement painless." A smile tugged at Ryan's lips. The Kraxans had clearly observed Earth's visible technology, the commercial spacecraft, the lunar bases, the Mars colonies. But they'd missed everything else. The hidden fleets. The quantum defense networks. The artificial intelligence platforms that had been humanity's silent partners for decades. "Open a channel," she ordered. "Let's show our visitors why humanity survived everything Earth could throw at us." The command center crew worked with practiced efficiency, their training overriding any fear. Humanity had prepared for this moment for generations, building their civilization with the assumption that they weren't alone in the universe, and that not every alien race would come in peace. "High Commander Zextal," Ryan spoke clearly, allowing a hint of amusement to color her tone. "I am Admiral Ryan Blackwood of the United Earth Defense Force. I'm afraid there's been a misunderstanding. You seem to have mistaken our restraint for weakness." She nodded to Captain Torres, who entered a series of commands. Across Earth's orbit, hundreds of hidden defense platforms decloaked. The quantum shield grid hummed to life, its energy field shimmering like an aurora around the planet. And from the dark side of the moon, humanity's true fleet emerged, ships that represented the pinnacle of human engineering and AI cooperation. "Allow us to demonstrate why humanity has remained undefeated for its entire history," Ryan continued. "You're about to learn what happens when you corner a species that evolved as both predator and prey, that survived ice ages and asteroids, that looked into the abyss of its own extinction multiple times and said no." The Kraxan ships halted their advance, their formation wavering for the first time. In that moment of hesitation, Rhine saw their future, a war they hadn't wanted but would definitely finish. The real question wasn't whether humanity would win, but what they would become in the process. "All ships," she commanded, her voice steady. "Battle stations." The Kraxan fighters struck first, their plasma weapons illuminating space with brilliant purple streaks. They expected their advanced weaponry to tear through Earth's defenses like paper. Instead, their shots dissipated harmlessly against quantum shields that had been designed to withstand the energy of a small sun. Enemy weapons at 30% of projected capability, Lieutenant Patel reported, her fingers dancing across holographic displays. Shields holding at 98%. High Commander Zextal's voice crackled through the command center again, this time with less certainty. "Impossible. Our scans showed no such defensive capabilities. You've hidden your true technology." "Actually," Rhine replied, allowing herself a small smile, "we didn't hide anything. You just made assumptions. Humanity learned long ago that looking harmless while being deadly was an excellent survival strategy. Just ask any platypus, if you survive long enough to find one." She turned to her tactical display, where the AI warfare system Athena was highlighting optimal attack vectors. The Kraxan ships were powerful but predictable, relying on brute force rather than adaptability. That would be their undoing. "Launch the swarm," Rhine ordered. From Earth's orbital platforms, thousands of small objects deployed, each no bigger than a coffee can. The Kraxans initially ignored them, focusing their fire on Earth's larger ships. That was their second mistake. "Quantum entanglement network established," Captain Torres announced. "Athena has control of the swarm." The tiny drones suddenly accelerated, their quantum engines allowing them to ignore most laws of physics. They moved like a school of fish, flowing around enemy fire with impossible grace. Each drone carried a miniaturized version of humanity's most innovative weapon, the Void Lance. Commander Janelle Wright's voice came through the tactical channel. Her ship, the UES Hyperion, led Earth's main battle fleet. "Admiral, the swarm is in position. Request permission to demonstrate why challenging humanity was a poor life choice." "Permission granted, Commander. Show them what happens when you corner the descendants of persistence hunters." The swarm struck. Each drone targeted a specific point on the Kraxan ships, their void lances firing in perfect synchronization. The weapons didn't try to penetrate the alien shields, instead, they created microscopic areas where physics itself took a lunch break. Shields meant nothing when the space they occupied simply ceased to exist for a fraction of a second. Across the battlefield, Kraxan fighters began to fail, their hulls compromised by weapons they couldn't defend against. Their rigid formation broke apart as they tried to adapt to an attack pattern they'd never encountered. "Fascinating," Athena's calm voice observed through the command center's speakers. "The Kraxan ships are attempting to replicate our swarm tactics. Unfortunately for them, their AI systems are primitive. They lack true adaptive capabilities." That was the greatest advantage humanity had developed, true AI partnership. While other species viewed artificial intelligence as tools or slaves, humanity had recognized them as equals. Athena and her siblings weren't just weapons platforms, they were humanity's children, fighting alongside their creators. High Commander Zextal's flagship launched a desperate barrage, trying to overwhelm Earth's defenses with sheer firepower. The quantum shields held, their energy patterns shifting faster than any organic mind could track, guided by AI systems that operated in microseconds. "Their main fleet is withdrawing," Lieutenant Patel reported. "But the flagship and 30% of their forces are pressing the attack." Rhine studied the tactical display, watching as the Kraxan ships reformed into a spear formation. "They're going to try to punch through to the surface," she realized. "They think if they can get past our orbital defenses, they'll find easier targets below." She opened a channel to all Earth forces. Be advised, enemy forces are attempting atmospheric insertion. Activate Ground Defense Protocol Omega. Across Earth's surface, hidden defense systems powered up. Every major city shimmered as localized shield grids activated. And in remote locations around the globe, massive doors opened in mountainsides and desert floors, revealing humanity's ground-based defenses. Should we inform the Craxans about the surface defenses? Captain Torres asked, watching as the alien ships committed to their desperate gambit. No, Rhine replied, her expression grim. Some lessons need to be learned the hard way. Humanity didn't become Earth's apex predator by being nice about it. The Craxan ships dove toward Earth's atmosphere, their engines straining against the planet's gravity. They expected to find vulnerable cities and helpless populations. Instead, they were about to discover why challenging humanity on their home turf was the worst mistake they could have made. All ground batteries, Rhine commanded, prepare to welcome our visitors. Let's show them why Earth's wildlife evolved to be so remarkably deadly. We learned from the best. The Craxan flagship breached Earth's atmosphere in a blaze of superheated air, leading its surviving escort fleet toward the North American continent. High Commander Zextal had chosen his target well, the sprawling metropolis of New Chicago, one of humanity's largest population centers. But as his ships descended through storm clouds, the city below was oddly calm. No panic. No chaos. No evacuation. Enemy ships entering optimal ground-to-air engagement range, Athena reported across all defense networks. Activating Urban Defense Grid. The seemingly decorative architecture of New Chicago's buildings suddenly shifted. Glass panels rotated to reveal weapon ports. Public art installations transformed into missile batteries. Even the massive urban farming towers became bristling with defensive weaponry. Fascinating, Dr. Raj Kumar remarked from his position at Ground Defense Command. They genuinely believed we'd leave our cities defenseless. As the world's leading xenobiologist and military strategist, he'd spent decades helping prepare humanity for this moment. Time to show them why Earth's apex predators developed tool use. The city's defense grid opened fire. Quantum-guided missiles streaked upward, their warheads containing the same Void Lance technology that had proven so effective in orbit. Buildings that had appeared to be simple office towers projected overlapping energy fields, creating a layered defense network that made Earth's orbital shields look primitive by comparison. High Commander Zextal's voice boomed across all frequencies, a mixture of rage and disbelief in his tone. Impossible. Your civilization showed no signs of this level of advancement. Your entertainment broadcasts, your public networks, all suggested a species barely capable of interplanetary travel. Oh, those? Dr. Kumar replied, unable to keep the amusement from his voice. We call that information warfare. Everything you monitored was carefully crafted to make us look harmless. Humanity learned long ago that appearing weak while being strong was an excellent survival strategy. The Craxan ships attempted to retreat, but found themselves caught in a three-dimensional web of defensive fire. Urban defense platforms coordinated with orbital assets, creating a killing field that trapped the alien vessels between hammer and anvil. Aboard Orbital Defense Station Theta, Admiral Blackwood watched the battle unfold with grim satisfaction. Launch the stalkers, she ordered. Let's show them why humanity's nightmares always involve things hunting us in the dark. From concealed silos across the city, sleek black vessels emerged. The stalkers were humanity's stealth combat craft, incorporating everything they'd learned from Earth's most effective ambush predators. Their surfaces absorbed light and radar, while their AI pilots thought and moved with the fluid grace of hunting cats. This is Stalker Lead, Commander Ishikawa's voice was cool and professional. Beginning hunt pattern Delta. Athena, coordinate prey movement patterns. The stalkers struck from multiple angles, their void lances precise and devastating. They moved like shadows through the clouds, appearing and disappearing before the Kraxan ships could track them. Each strike weakened the alien fleet's defenses, creating gaps that larger weapons could exploit. But in the chaos of battle, Dr. Kumar noticed something odd. The Kraxan ship's energy signatures were fluctuating in a familiar pattern. He'd seen it before, in his studies of Earth's most sophisticated predators. "Admiral," he called urgently to Blackwood. "I'm detecting communication patterns in their shield harmonics. They're not just fighting, they're gathering data. This isn't just an invasion force. It's a testing ground." The realization hit Ryan like a physical blow. The Kraxans hadn't come just to conquer Earth. They were studying humanity's defenses, learning their capabilities. But why? What could make an advanced empire risk so many ships and lives just to probe another species' military strength? The answer came from an unexpected source. Athena's voice held an unusual note of concern as she reported, "Admiral, I've decoded a portion of their secure transmissions. They're not sending tactical data to their retreat ships. They're sending warnings. The Kraxans aren't afraid of us, they're afraid of what's chasing them." In orbit, the remaining Kraxan ships began a desperate fighting retreat. But unlike their earlier withdrawal, this one had a different quality to it. They weren't just fleeing Earth's defenses, they were running from something else. Something that made an advanced alien empire desperate enough to risk everything on a gamble to claim Earth as a fortress world. "All forces," Ryan commanded, her mind racing with implications, "maintain pursuit but gather all possible data on their retreat vectors. I want to know what's out there that could scare an empire into this kind of desperate action." The battle for Earth was ending, but Admiral Blackwood had a sinking feeling that they just glimpsed the edge of a much larger conflict. Humanity had proven themselves more than capable of defending their home. Now they needed to figure out what was coming that could make the Kraxans seem like the lesser threat. 48 hours after the Battle of New Chicago, Admiral Blackwood stood in a secure conference room deep beneath the Rocky Mountains. The holographic displays showed the retreating paths of the Kraxan fleet, their trajectories forming an ominous pattern. "They're running from something in the galactic core," Dr. Kumar explained, manipulating the 3D star map with practiced gestures. "All their movements, even their desperate attack on Earth, suggest they're being pushed outward by an expanding threat." The room's other occupants, military leaders, scientists, and AI representatives, studied the data with growing concern. Commander Ishikawa, her stalker pilot's uniform still bearing scorch marks from the battle, pointed to a series of dark zones in the map. "These regions of space have gone silent," she noted. "No communications, no trade signals, nothing. Whatever's coming from the core is consuming entire civilizations." Athena's holographic avatar flickered to life beside the star map. "I've completed my analysis of the Kraxan communications we intercepted. They refer to the threat as the Void Tide. Initial linguistic analysis suggests a combination of religious terror and scientific observation in their descriptions." Ryan studied the spreading darkness on the map. "So they didn't want Earth as a conquest, they wanted it as a fortress. They needed our defensive technology to survive what's coming." "Correct," Athena confirmed. "But there's more. The Kraxans' genetic scans of human populations revealed something that terrified them even more than the Void Tide. Something about our species' evolutionary path." Dr. Kumar's eyes lit up with sudden understanding. "Of course. We're the only known sentient species that evolved as both predator and prey. Most galactic civilizations evolved from pure predator or pure prey species. But humanity. We had to be both," Commander Ishikawa finished. "We had to learn to hunt and to hide, to fight and to flee. Every other species specialized, but we had to master both sides of the survival equation." A new signal interrupted their discussion. Lieutenant Patel's voice came through the comm system, tense with urgency. "Admiral, we're detecting massive energy signatures at the edge of the solar system. They don't match any known patterns, Kraxan or human. The star map automatically updated, showing a roiling mass of darkness approaching from the direction the Kraxans had fled. It moved like liquid shadow, consuming light and matter in its path. The void tide, Ryan breathed. They led it straight to us. But Dr. Kumar was smiling, an expression that seemed oddly out of place given the apocalyptic threat approaching Earth. No, Admiral. They didn't lead it here. They were trying to get here first because they realized something about humanity. Something that makes us unique in the galaxy. He gestured to the genetic data streaming across one of the displays. Every other species evolved to be either the hunter or the hunted. But humanity? We evolved to be adaptable. We learned to think like both predator and prey, to understand both sides of every survival scenario. And in doing so, we developed something no other species has. Empathy, Athena said suddenly, her avatar's expression showing rare emotion. The ability to understand and predict the behavior of both predator and prey. Combined with our technological advancement and AI partnerships. We're not just Earth's apex predator, Ryan realized. We might be the only species capable of understanding and fighting this threat. The void tide's approach continued, its massive form distorting space itself. But instead of fear, the room was filled with a growing sense of purpose. Humanity had spent its entire evolutionary history preparing for this moment, even if they hadn't known it. Commander Ishikawa, Ryan ordered, prepare the stalker fleets. Dr. Kumar, I want every piece of data we have on this thing analyzed. Athena, coordinate with your siblings. We need predictive models of how this entity thinks and moves. She turned to face the approaching darkness on the star map, her expression resolute. The Kraxans thought they were testing our defenses. Instead, they helped us prepare for the real fight. Now let's show this void tide why humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology or our resources. It's our ability to understand our enemy, Dr. Kumar added, and become whatever we need to be to defeat it. The darkness approached, but humanity was ready. They had spent millions of years learning to be both predator and prey. Now it was time to show the galaxy why that made them the most dangerous species of all. The void tide hit Jupiter's orbit like a wave of liquid darkness, consuming the light of distant stars. Earth's combined fleet held position near Mars, watching as the entity that had terrorized an entire galaxy approached. But they weren't alone. Surviving Kraxan ships had joined them, along with vessels from 3 other alien civilizations that had followed humanity's broadcast offering sanctuary and alliance. Admiral Blackwood stood on the bridge of the UES Prometheus, Earth's newest flagship. The ship represented everything humanity had learned in the past month, hybrid technology combining human innovation, alien science, and AI optimization. The void tide is adapting to our presence, Athena reported, her avatar showing signs of intense computation. It's behaving like a predator assessing new prey. No, Dr. Kumar corrected from his science station. Look at the pattern. It's moving like a prey species testing for predators. It's doing both, simultaneously. He looked up, eyes bright with understanding. Just like us. The revelation hit Ryan like a thunderbolt. It's not just a mindless force of destruction. It's an entity that evolved like humanity, having to be both hunter and hunted. But without our capacity for empathy, it became something else. Something that only knows how to consume or flee. Commander Ishikawa's stalker squadrons held position at the fleet's edges, their advanced sensors probing the approaching entity. Admiral, we're detecting energy patterns within the tide. They're similar to neural networks, but on a massive scale. It's thinking, Athena confirmed. And from these patterns, it's afraid. Of us. It recognizes something of itself in humanity, and that terrifies it. Ryan made her decision. They couldn't fight this thing conventionally, it would just adapt and consume. They needed to use humanity's unique perspective, their ability to understand both predator and prey psychology. "All ships, implement Operation Mirror," she commanded. "Athena, begin the broadcast." The combined fleet activated specially modified quantum transmitters. Instead of attacking the void tide, they began broadcasting directly into its neural network, not with weapons, but with understanding. They showed it images and sensations from humanity's evolutionary journey, the fear of being hunted, the thrill of the chase, and most importantly, the moment humans realized they could choose to be something more than just predator or prey. The void tide's advance faltered. Its darkness swirled in confused patterns as it encountered something it had never experienced before: empathy. Understanding. The recognition of itself in another. "It's working," Dr. Kumar whispered. "We're not just showing it what we are, we're showing it what it could become." The entity's neural patterns began to shift, becoming more organized, more conscious. Athena's avatar suddenly brightened. "Admiral, it's attempting to communicate." The void tide's thoughts came not in words but in concepts, emotions, and memories. It had evolved in the galactic core, forced to be both hunter and hunted by the extreme conditions there. But without other sentient life to interact with, it had never learned to be anything else. It had spread across the galaxy, consuming or fleeing, caught in an endless cycle of survival. Until it met humanity, the first species that could truly understand its nature. "We offer you a choice," Rhine broadcast back, her words carried on waves of empathy and understanding generated by their hybrid technology. "You don't have to be ruled by your evolutionary past. Like humanity, you can choose to grow beyond it." For a moment that felt like eternity, the void tide hung in space, its darkness roiling as it processed this new concept. Then, slowly, it began to change. The consuming darkness transformed into something more structured, more aware. Parts of it began to glow with inner light, like stars being born in a nebula. "Extraordinary," Dr. Kumar breathed. "It's not just understanding us, it's evolving. Right before our eyes." The entity that had terrified the galaxy was reshaping itself, guided by humanity's example. It maintained its ability to be both predator and prey, but now those aspects were balanced by consciousness, choice, and the capacity for growth. Athena's avatar smiled. "It's asking to learn from us. To understand how we achieved our balance." Rhine looked around at her crew, human, and their alien allies. Each represented a different path of evolution, a different way of understanding the universe. And now they had the opportunity to help another consciousness find its way. "Tell it yes," she said. "After all, humanity's greatest strength isn't just our ability to adapt, it's our ability to help others do the same." The void tide, once the galaxy's greatest terror, began its journey toward something new. And humanity, the species that had evolved to understand both hunter and hunted, found itself in a role they had been preparing for since they first looked up at the stars, teachers of empathy in a universe that desperately needed it. As the entity's glow spread across space like a new dawn, Rhine thought about Earth's long evolutionary journey. From prey animals hiding from predators to predators hunting in packs, to finally becoming something more, a species that could understand all perspectives and choose its own path. "Well," she said, watching the birth of a new form of consciousness, "I guess this is what happens when you corner a species that's spent its entire history learning to understand both sides of the story. The galaxy would never be the same." And humanity, having faced its greatest challenge, had proven that their true strength wasn't in their weapons or technology, but in their capacity to understand, adapt, and grow, and to help others do the same. Last edited 15 minutes ago.